over there in UNLV, Tone Diggs. What the hell's going on with Matthew Sluka? It feels like every tweet, it's kind of going back and forth on what actually happened and what didn't happen from sources from school, sources from collective, sources from agency, sources from family. There's source-off seemingly happening with the UNLV Matthew Sluka situation. Can you explain what it is for the people and then break down where we currently stand?
Yeah, so the UNLV quarterback, Matthew Sluka, he played at Holy Cross for 4 years. He's a fifth-year senior. Came into UNLV this year, and then this morning or late last night, he put out this post that basically said he's not going to play for UNLV at all anymore this season. He's going to redshirt this year, so he's not going to lose the season, and he's going to transfer and go somewhere else. And then there was reports that after the 3-0 start by UNLV, that he went into the coach's office to ask for more NIL money, and it doesn't seem like that's the truth. The more, I don't want to say official reporting, but the more official reporting, because everyone with an actual journalist background, your Pete Thamels and those of that nature, say that there was a verbal agreement for $100,000 for him to come to UNLV. Just a verbal agreement, nothing signed, nothing on paper, which, good idea there, that he got $3,000 for as a stipend to move to UNLV, but has not seen another dollar of the $100,000. And really just wants that $100,000 that he was verbally promised. And it doesn't seem like that's going to happen, so he's not going to play anymore.
Now, that was an assistant coach that allegedly made the verbal commitment of $100,000. And then that goes into the question of, how much do the coaches have say over the collective who's doing the paying, and are they even allowed to have say, and how does that whole thing work? And then there's a ruling coming out at some point about, a salary cap for every single college that is hopefully going to right this entire ship. But this is like a perfect depiction of, I think from the very beginning, why I've been saying the guardrails are needed. Not only for, everybody thinks I say that because I'm knocking the players getting money. I'm not knocking players getting money. What I'm knocking is shitty deals being made that aren't real, and they're being done with people that don't understand business or the business or have any background in this particular business at all. It's obviously the schools want guardrails because everybody's spending out of control. There's no market. We don't know what other people are paying. We don't know what the comps are. We don't know when we can pay. We don't know any of this stuff, schools. And it's a collective pay, and it's not us. They own it. But for players, there's been a lot of these deals. I think some of them have been much larger and spotlighted more, where they're promised one thing, and then they never get it. And that's because the deal was a fugazi. The deal was maybe just not upheld. And it's well, who do you complain to? Well, really, court, I guess. But how does that even go into this entire thing? So there's been bad deals that have been taking place for families and players since the beginning of this NIL thing, since way before that, where guys either don't get paid out or there was a Florida case, I think $7 million or something like that, that was allegedly a deal and it didn't work out a couple years ago. So the ruling of this salary cap thing, where the schools and the teams are going to manage the money to whoever for at least the seeming contracts year to year, that's good news because then it's legit. Then you know who is actually paying it, how it's supposed to come. There'll probably be a pay schedule on how it all works out. But some of these deals feel like a little bit of bullshit. And I think if what is happening from the Sluka family side is happening, though I believe the school officials and other people said that's not true, we didn't do that. It's you agreed to a bad deal that isn't a deal, that wasn't a deal, never a deal, and you expected that, and now you're not getting it. And it's how many other situations are happening like this, where the player doesn't just say, you know what, I'm done. 3 games in, 3-0, and he goes, I'm done. That's a big
nuts.
That's a massive decision. You're obviously going to piss off a lot of people. Your teammates, going to piss off, obviously, everybody that's worked alongside you to get to this point. Coaches that have nothing to do with this, aside from the assistant coach, I promise it, obviously not happy. So to have the shins to be able to be I'm going to take it on the shins very heavily here and be I'm going to get the money that I was told to get is a big stance. But how many other times has this happened? I don't know. But I'm happy for there to become regulations to kind of monitor this whole thing because we don't know what the story is. We don't know what the story is. But this situation was one that I thought everybody should have seen coming potentially from a player's perspective because deals are bad on a pretty regular basis in the world of business.
Yeah, and you look at UNLV right now, them being 3-0, there's a chance that they're one of that group of 5 teams. They could make the playoff. They could win the Mountain West and make the playoff, but you also kind of understand, having only watched this kid once, he plays at Holy Cross for 4 years, but he's one of those guys, we always talk about, hey, if you ball out, you shouldn't be worried about making your NIL money. The NFL is going to pay you. But like, this is a kid who's probably not going to play in the NFL. Like this may be his only opportunity. This is his last year in college football. Obviously, he's going to redshirt now, but like he potentially was never going to get this opportunity to get $100,000 ever again. Who knows what his major is? Who knows what he's going to do after this? So, like you said, having the nutsack when you're 3-0 and like people are starting to talk about you, to be like, you know what? No, I was promised $100,000. They're not going to pay me, so fuck them.
Now people are going to call him a bad teammate,
for
obviously
sure.
selfish and everything like that. Which easy argument to make whenever this situation happens. But on the flip side, it's like, how selfish is it of the assistant coach, because he's probably weighing his options. His side said, now we don't know if this was even right.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to track any of this.
Yeah.
Especially verbal.
It's a he said, she said, he said, coach said situation in the entirety of it. But he said one of the reasons why he went there is because there was conversations happen everywhere. So it's like, how often does this happen? And how often are players just not saying anything because they're like embarrassed to be the ones who maybe were a part of a deal that was a fugazi? Because that's like an embarrassing situation too, obviously, in it all. It's a wild time.
Very well. And like you said, I don't know how they figured it out, but they need to figure it out and quick. And when you have, you talked about bad deals always been out there. That's even in writing. So verbal, you got to get whatever you got in writing. And obviously, it's a learning situation for him. And you, to Ty's point, you got to have some big nuts, pause, to say, because you're going to be painted as a bad guy. You're the guy that everybody sees. You're the guy that everybody knows. So you got to be able to take that on the chin.
Yeah, it definitely does. Big story, though, because this is the NIL thing coming to a tipping point, and is this a situation that is maybe putting it there, and when's the judgment come? I don't know. Tone, that's a big storyline. That's a big college ball convo right now, even though UNLV, obviously not one of the big dogs. Maybe future.
Yeah. Maybe.
Could be.
Can't be making potential fake.
I like that.
Give you $1 million.
Yeah. What do you think?
Give you 10.
What do you think?
Huh? What are they paying? $9 million? Sweet. How about 18? Well, we got a fucking guy. It's Las Vegas. We got money.
You good?
We're good, right?
Let's
sign right
let's do
here.
this shit.
Sign right here. This is a good sign. Hey, you're getting a good car here. You're getting a good car here.
I think Mr. Davis loves that program too, so it could be a situation.
Yeah, exactly. That's another sell. Guy who owns an NFL team. You ever see and WNBA team? You don't think he has enough money to pay you? He wants you. Come on.
Certainly does.
Sorry, you don't need to test drive this thing. Not at all. Don't worry about it. It's great. You kind of hear a little sound when it turns on. That's actually because the engine's too strong. Sign this fucking thing. Yeah, that's literally what it could be. And these college coaches are recruiters. They are car salesmen.
Yeah.
Like that is a part of it. So if it is just an assistant coach just being like, $100,000? Yeah, no problem. No problem. We got you $100,000.
Get that one night at the casino.
Come on, bub. Come on. Yeah, you want to be a rebel. Yeah,
What do you think? What do you think?
Deal. All right. Now I got to go. How much I got promised this kid?
Yeah. 200? 300?
What do you need? 77 grand? No problem. We just got 100 grand out of nowhere. That's wild. That's a wild potential reality happening. Like that's a real deal.